Are we live?
Live. Oh, look at you starting with a surprise. You got the quote already ready. Let's go.
I forgot I had it up. Let's go. Just jump in. Good morning, everybody. Jumping right into the quote. No time to waste this morning. Matt left it up. Technical difficulty.
I think we're like the only people with like 100 podcasts under our belt that still have technical difficulties like every week.
It's the shtick, right?
It is. Shtick. We actually do it on purpose. We figure out like what we should do for bloopers, and then we just plan it in. And we'll just go with that.
There's not even bloopers when it's the main stream.
That's true. It's all for entertainment value.
On that note, we act as though comfort and luxury were the chief requirements of life, when all that we need is to make us happy is something to be enthusiastic about. I like this one particularly.
I do like that one. I do. I really do think that like the concept that it says enthusiastic, I would say captures your attention, your curiosity. Probably all fits in there. I would tend to agree.
Let's do close up today. We're doing changing it up, close up.
Changing it up. I'm gonna get prettier then. Sit up and like. There we go.
Just look straight at the camera. I think enthusiasm in what you do demonstrates how well it translates into success too. Like if you're not enthusiastic about something and you're not giving it 100%, it's not gonna come out the way you want it to come out.
Yeah, I agree, and I would say that if you're if you want to get the best operators, like if you want to build the best business, and I've been fortunate through my career to be able to have been in positions where, you could hire people or whatever. If you bet on like someone who is like sort of curious and will take interest and you can kind of see them get like captured by something and then get, into it, that person will almost always sooner or later, be like probably either a high potential star, this or that. Like ideally, if you want to build great teams, especially in operations, that's a grind where so many people do things the same way. Hire the people that you can tell are just curious about stuff, and that like they're not going to just tell you that, oh, that's just the way that we always do it.
How amazing is it when and I know we're probably not even going to the topic that we set out before because we're not. How amazing is it when you build a team and you hire someone that's actually enthusiastic about the role and they're just coming in here and you see that and you kind of even perks you up. You're like, man, I miss that enthusiasm sometimes. And it's always a great feeling to have when you have enthusiasm on your team and not people, like you said, just like going through the motions. Finding that enthusiasm in your team and finding what that spark is and was is very important. And if the spark is gone on your team, you got to do some self-reflection, I think, because without that spark, you're not running at 100% efficiency. You're not running anywhere near. You're missing out on so much. Like people are just become so apathetic. I remember I've been in those roles where I'm like, because you've been shat on by your boss or whatever. He was having a bad week. He shat on you, and you're just like, I don't feel like being here anymore. And that just translates in your work output and all the little gimmicks that they try to do to get you enthusiastic about it just don't translates into better work results.
Yeah, I agree, man, 100%. Like when I was doing a lot of just continuous improvement stuff, right? One of the biggest failures that you see as operators for people that are trying to improve their business. And the funny thing is, so many people out there, like, and I mean, like almost tantamount with like a pen and a pad, could do so much more for their business if they step away from this concept of like, I just want to be right, or I want to direct an activity, so to speak, or I want to implement a project. And before they get to this point of trying to deliver to look good, actually stay curious, like just a little bit longer. That type of approach will do wonders for your business, for your customers, for your results, anything, just everything. Everything across the board will be better for it. But the funny thing is, and I don't know if what your take on this is, but I would say that we don't do a great job in most of our environments to continue to promote sort of people being curious and keep pushing and keep asking those questions, because we value that quick execution, that certainty of just execution, which I find is honestly the biggest killer to innovation, oddly enough.
I mean, just for my own self-reflection, the biggest challenge is always what I call the mañana effect. Tomorrow, we'll get to that.
I know that word. I do know.
We'll solve it. We'll solve it tomorrow. Tomorrow's a better day to come across. I just need to get through this right now. I'll do these things later. And that really does kill that whole aspect, because when people are doing the day-to-day grind and they're in it and they don't have the ability to step back and think about how to process, improve, to your point, they don't, right? Like, why would I want to, put in any effort to make the overall efficiency of the company better if they're not listening or valuing my opinion? Because they often see that they're not heard, their ideas are not explored, or the boss just doesn't take them into real consideration because he's the one that's being empathetic. It doesn't always have to be from the grassroots. It could be the boss, like, yeah, we've tried that before. It's not going to work. Like, there's no point of trying. So stop. Just do your job.
That one is like a pet peeve. Like, if you're out there at any level as an operator, whether you're a supervisor, whether you're manager, director, VP, CO, don't care. If you get to the point where you stop really being interested by like with the feedback that's coming to you from on the floor, from the people putting your hands on your operation, and you just do your job, so to speak, like you're killing your own gains, no matter how hard you try to bring everyone else up. Like, you're losing opportunity with every day that goes on.
But that's every place. So I would ask you live on air to show me an example of a company that you know of that is very inclusive on taking on people's suggestions from the bottom and from the top, and really taking a step back and trying to innovate and make it better.
Yeah, you know what? Off the top of my head, I probably couldn't just say, "Oh, here's like the gold standards of example." I think people definitely go through phases of it. I think a lot of the time you do have to go through phases. Like, you know what I mean? They're like everything. You can't just live in one kind of space. Like, everything's like a bit of a cycle, so to speak. I think, though, the challenge these days, and maybe where your sentiment I'll guess might be coming from, is that I think, unfortunately, a lot of businesses have lost the capacity or lost the tolerance to go back into a new cycle, because everyone's become like hyper obsessed on results. Everyone's looking at these year-over-year growth metrics, like all of these things. Like, funny enough, over the weekend there was some stuff from I don't know what, USPS. There was some stuff about UPS, FedEx, whatever, and I saw a post about, FedEx is doing really well on their earnings, sort of beat expectations, Like, no word of a lie. The first comment was like, yeah, but will they be able to keep it up next year? Will they get the same year-over-year growth next year? And that mentality is 100% what is kind of like killing our ability to stay creative and innovative, is this nonstop expectation of like year-over-year. Well, yeah, year-over-year growth, no matter what. It's like and it's funny. I always love taking stuff back to sports, right? When we think about like, anything that we do, because it's like very rarely would anyone sit there, even if you have, like, for example, let's take the World Series that just passed and the Dodgers, right? And the Blue Jays. People, when the Dodgers won again, they basically are saying like the Dodgers are essentially the closest thing to a modern dynasty that you'll see. And even that being said, I don't necessarily think that you have an immediate expectation from the fan base when that season starts next year, or maybe even by midway through the season next year. Well, Dodgers are going to win again. Year-over-year growth. They're gonna whatever they did last year plus more. I mean, they got to Game 7 of the World Series. They're going to do it in Game 4. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, that kind of like this insane kind of like pressure and expectation that we put on businesses, that no matter what's going on in the market, no matter what's going on with the customers, and no matter what's going on with anything, we just see nonstop growth, really is a detractor, in my opinion, from like really interesting innovation.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, because not all things are equal the following year. Mm-hmm. Right. And so you can't expect the exact same thing. You can't expect growth. You can't expect something to last forever. There's only a few forever companies that have been around since the hundreds of years because they have a very specific niche that they're doing. But even a lot of them have, gone under that everybody thought that would be there forever. Blockbuster, Kodiak, all these companies, everybody's like, oh yeah, these will never go away. They go away because they didn't innovate, they didn't change, they didn't do things differently, right? And that's not to say that you always have to be doing something different and changing. And my comment earlier, I think the only ones that really focus on that aspect of listening and changing are startup companies because they don't know what they don't know, especially when it's a new entrepreneur. They're more likely to be far more open. You hear it from, like third or fourth or fifth startup per person when they have already figured out the things that make the business click quicker. Do they listen less because they have this notion of growing? But at the same time, you don't have to grow and make something that is $100 million company, right? Success is not in terms of the multi-millions. It could be just creating a product or a service that is far not the best in what it does, where it is, and be successful in it by bringing value and being comfortable in your living and doing that, right? So I don't think you need to be the next FedEx, but you can be a final mile delivery in the GTA and be the best at it. But you wouldn't be that great when you expand into Montreal, New York City, because there's something about that area that you're great at that you should just focus on.
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, I would say that probably, my experience working with different sort of companies at that stage is that I would say that I don't think that they do actually get that much leeway from a lot of these investment funds and angels and stuff like that, because the reality is more often than not, when you're having conversations in those domains, people are like, Show me the roadmap to 100 million. Show me that roadmap to 500 million or to $1 billion. And you're like, really? Like that's what it's going to take. Like I could show you a business model that's 85% profitable, but you still think it's kind of bad unless it can be a $1 billion kind of unicorn. So sorry, just quickly before you answer, everyone's probably wondering like, WTF, like what's going on today? These guys are like logistics guys, like operators, like why are they talking about this stuff?
Why are we talking about this?
Why
John?
are we talking about it? Because over the weekend, I got super frustrated with a bunch of posts I saw related to USPS and all of this kind of commentary around them. And then when we were kind of getting set up, so we don't prep for this show per se, we'll maybe have a quick discussion or each, whatever things have captured our attention, and I was saying to Matt that I don't find that there's actually been anything all that interesting in logistics for the last, maybe 6-12 months. Of course, there's little pockets of coolness and like little things that have popped up. But if you really stretch it out, I think, the year has unfortunately been dominated by a lot of uncertainty for costs and tariffs and people trying to readjust and, rinse and repeat the same kind of thing. And, that's what prompted a lot of this kind of wonder about like, well, where do you get innovative and where do you really do things differently? Because, on the one hand, we've got the companies like FedEx, UPS, USPS, Amazon that are kind of, and Walmart still building their flywheel, still kind of, building their machine with like the hundreds of billions that these guys have. And on the other side, you constantly are seeing these same old promises made by the similar type people and the similar type outfits that are saying, oh, well, the only way you can do this is to go for these low rates over here. And then the funny thing is that got me over the weekend was like, here's USPS with like almost a $10 billion loss, even like a bigger year over year loss on their controllable expenses, which I thought was a really cool thing. I think every business should be having to manage and talk about their controllable and non-controllable expenses. But, and their leadership came right out and said, yeah, but like, we got to do some of these things because the reality is, logistics is essentially a fixed cost business. And I've been saying that for years, been trying to educate people on that for years. And I just thought it was so tongue in cheek compared to the fact that like, as soon as you read some of that by someone managing hundreds of billions of dollars, you got the next person being like, oh, I'm going to save your company with an aggregate, an alternative network, a pay for use capacity platform.
I can negotiate that rate down for you. No problem.
Yeah, exactly. Anyways, I just thought that was a little bit frustrating. So we were talking about that, and that's where, we're talking about, really about doing things differently and some of the challenges that really come up in logistics. Because the thing is that to really be successful, you know, a lot of what all operators do is pretty thankless, right? Like, you know, you're doing the grind, and because everybody can understand what we do, it's like, well, you know, 100%. If it's not 100%, we're just going to keep ragging until, like, you know, we somehow find 100%. But the reality is there's so much that needs to happen behind the scenes, right, Matt? I'm sure you see this all the time with customers. Like, there's getting a load there on time. But I mean, if that's a new product, if they're opening a new facility, if that was a new lane, if it's new carriers, if it's whatever it could be, there's so much that has to go on behind the scenes to be really successful, that the fact that, like, you're talking just about, like, ooh, is the rate like $1,000 or $1,200 for the shipment is honestly pretty trivial. Well, not trivial, but it's really a small part of what everything that needs to happen in that value chain.
It's funny they bring it up, because it brought up a story that you asked me, like, do you have anything you want to talk about from an experience that I'm like, no, but you came up with one. Hey, let's go rub those hands together. On that note, what I find very interesting is the opposite effect happens too when people think everything is very simple, in that fact of, like, even the brokerage aspect of it, like you just talked about, there's a lot of stuff that happens in the background. And this is where I always say, focus on what you're great at. And you see a lot of assets try to become brokerages, and brokerages try to become assets, and they fail. And they're like, why? I'll give you an example. I had a friend of mine who has an asset company. He has an important client. He couldn't fit the LTL from Toronto going out west onto his truck. So he said, I'm going to outsource it. And he had two temperatures, because he does multi-temp. And one was a frozen, one was fresh. And he gave it to this third party. He knew of them. They're from the same area, all this kind of aspect of it. And then arrives to his facility, because he's supposed to do his bit. And the guy flipped the temperatures. He put the frozen and the fresh into the frozen. Like
the product, you mean? Or
the product.
The set points?
He had the product in the wrong areas. The guy's like, it's a freaking claim. Like, he goes to me like, what do I do? I'm like, did you have a contract? He goes, no. I'm like, did you check his insurance? No. Did you do this? Did you do that? Did you do? He goes, so you have to do all those things. I'm like, yeah. Did you check his MC? Did you see if, like, did you go through all the steps to qualify that your product is going to be safe for all that risk mitigation? He goes, you guys do all that before you hire someone? I'm like, yeah. Like, I only work with people I trust for a reason, right? And because I know I can sleep at nighttime. Because it's a much of a fallacy. Same as I've been in the asset side, so I get it too. But same as having a truck, it's not as simple as finding, John, and be like, hey, John, can you jump in the truck and back this up? It's not that simple. You have to do a lot of pre-qualifications, check the truck, check the trailer, understand trucks, understand when things are breaking down, how they operate properly to be able to execute at the level that we execute. Because if you don't, things are going to go sideways for you, right? And you lose face in front of your customer.
And that's why I always thought it was so absurd to, like, have these companies, and this was when I was on the buy side of more of the sort of last mile and transportation. You pick up the phone and some carriers being like, hey, I'm from so and so, do you have a load for me? It's like, who are you? Like, you know what I mean? It's like, are you kidding me? You think I'm just gonna, like, randomly be giving out $25,000, $100,000, $300,000 worth of product, like, just cause, like, you know what I mean? It's like, that always surprised me. And I think you see a lot of people talking about it these days, relationships and this and that, whatever. But it most certainly, like, you almost have to worry, I would think too, like, on the other side, if I'm a transporter and I call a company and they're just going to feed me volume from, like, the most low scripted, like, low effort cold call.
You're not getting paid. Let me put it out.
But that's what I'm saying. Right?
You're not getting paid.
net terms 180, like, you know what I mean? Like 360 plus small claims. Like, I don't know. Like, it's just wild to me that anyone thinks that this can be. And, like, your story there just made me laugh. It's because it's like, what, you didn't do any of that? It's like, well, what do you mean? Was it just a guy who told you he had a truck? Like, what?
It was a reputable company, right? So he thought, hey, it's all great. So one of my things that I've always tried to adhere to, my mentor, Norm Snade, he used to always be, when I was at Bison, he'd always be like, when the phone rings, you have to pick it up because you don't know if it's a customer. I'm like, that's such a weird thing. And I remember being younger in my 20s going, that's such an odd concept. Like, why would they be calling the dispatch line? Because they couldn't get a hold of someone, whatever. You always have to pick up the phone. He was very adamant about it. Years later, I appreciate that now because I was calling a larger company because we were partnered up with them, and I called the dispatch line and nobody was picking up. And I called it for many days in a row. And I knew a person there. I'm like, hey, why is nobody picking up your dispatch line? He goes, everybody uses cell phones nowadays anyway. I'm like, what if I was like Walmart Canada calling you? He goes, what do you mean? I'm like, what if it was like a guy at Walmart Canada that needed help because one of your shipments, he doesn't have your cell phone? And he goes, I mean, they'll get a hold of us eventually. But the experience there to get to you,
emails or whatever.
Yeah, like eventually that experience is going to sour them, and then it's not going to get there. Having the small, simple things set up makes a big difference in the end. You have to be innovative. You have to, but if you don't have the foundational stuff done correctly, like Kat on our team beats me up all the time for it. PODs right away. Make sure the customer. I'm like, who cares about she's like, no. And every time I do it, the customer's like, thank you so much. I always have to wait so long for these PODs from everybody else. I'm like, really? Like, this is a thing for everybody? They're like, yeah. And she's like adamant about it. Like within like an hour, as soon as we get it out to the customer. I'm like, who cares? They'll get it with the invoice. I'm going to send the invoice in 3. No, the invoice goes to another department. This particular person needs it. Get it to them.
Yeah, I definitely think that, because the reality is in most organizations, especially when, it's more sensitive or whatever, there's always somebody asking someone something. Like, you know what I mean? And they're usually not asking AP or the finance person. You know what I mean? Like, hey, did that come in? They're going to ask the finance person when the statement's all out of whack or something like that. But
But it's the simple things and the innovativeness and your ability to kind of jump on there and be proactive. I think that will drive the success for everybody. Success is a very hard thing right now. A lot of challenges for everybody, from warehousing to truckers to 3PLs to anybody in between. I think even retailers are struggling. Everybody's kind of having. I don't know about you, John, but when I went out to the retails, like I went to the mall. It's dead. Like it's not there. Like I remember years ago when I worked at Future, you and I always talk about it, when we worked at Future Shop, this was the money making time. You'd made no money all year long just to make that commission because you'd be like piling it in. Best Buy's dead. Like,
I don't disagree. I went to the mall with my daughters to do some stuff for them, and I said the same thing. I was actually kind of shocked that it felt so dead. I noticed someone making a comment saying that like, oh, it's going to be really busy, tons of orders over the weekend and stuff like that. I think that can be true, but I think that there's a difference between like, well, it's even if there was a surge of orders, let's say online. Fine. Does it actually sustain? Does it stay? Does it go day after day? Because that's what most retailers and D2C brands need right now. They don't need like flash in the pan activity, so to speak. I'm super curious to see, because I already noticed, obviously everyone now, because of Black Friday coming, the deals are all dropping, right? It used to be just Black Friday, then it was a week before, then 10 days. Now it's looking like it's at least a full 2 weeks before. So they're all coming out. So it's like by the time Black Friday actually
next year's Black Friday today.
Oh wow. I that would be hilarious if on Black Friday someone's like Black Friday 2027 or 2026. I don't even know what the years anymore.
Oh yeah, 2026. Yeah, 2 years.
Yeah, exactly. Just hedging in the future. But I mean, I'm telling you that's going to be the real concern for a lot of people, because you're right. I'm not seeing that level of activity. I think a lot of people have been buying much more intentionally. They've been spreading around trying to get deals. The market is ultra price sensitive and price conscious right now. Like customers are definitely, deal hunting, and they need a really good value to pick something up.
How much do you think of it is what we've talked about before? Is that I call it a TikTok effect of the younger generation? Because when you and I were younger, the big thing was thrown at us. This is the next big thing to have at Christmas time. It was driven by somebody. You never knew, but everybody just wanted that thing. Or whether it was, Pogs. If you ever remember what Pogs were.
I do. I had this killer heavy brass looking. I don't think it was real brass, but slammer or whatever.
Yeah. I loved it. Whatever that thing was, it was always brought in by somebody. But nowadays, it's so different. I find it almost fickle in the sense that it's whatever that moment is, and it's only for that 1 week, and it doesn't translate for that season. So the fashion is for the day. It used to be for the season, and it used to be for the month. But now I think it's, if you don't have that shirt tomorrow, don't bother wearing it on Tuesday.
Yeah, I definitely think that there's a lot of the sort of the TikTok like trending quick culture and stuff like that definitely makes it harder. The other thing is too, I think a lot of the more mainstream retailers, like their stuff is like kind of boring, I think, for a lot of people. I know that sounds bad, but I mean, it's just like, you walk generic. Through it. Yeah, it's pretty generic. It's pretty kind of like just trying to push it out, like, and if you're going to do it on price, that's fine. And then on the flip side to that, I find from a consumer perspective, way too many brands are trying to flip the other way and create a sense of urgency with high pricing, like pricing that is just like, maybe, but like when it's $50 for a printed t-shirt just because it's allegedly from some brand, or it's like a $225 sweater, even if you get someone to buy it, it's like, hey, great. But like that person then is not spending, high likelihood, I should say anyway, that person is not going to spend all of their holiday budget then at your store, whether that's, $1,000, $2,000, whatever it could be. So it's like, I find that there's a real tension in the market between the low cost expectations that a lot of the sort of Shein and Temu started and been proceeding with the Walmart style activity or whatever. And then on the other side, just this big ultra premium stuff. Like, you know what I mean? That to me, just, it's like, no, like I saw a Labubu at the mall the other day. It was $300. Like, and it was one of the medium ones, but it's like, who's buying this for $300? But to your point, I'm sure someone is.
My daughter got a little one for her birthday. A little Labubu one.
Is it a real one, or is it like a Lafufu or?
I don't know. It looked like Stitch from Lilo and Stitch. So it was one of those. It's the hot thing, but it's already fleeting. Like, it's already gone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's the most things for a lot of people. Is the things that shouldn't be premium are premium now, and they're just a premium exhausted about everything. Even when it comes down to the simplest things, I saw a video of a guy, I think he was out west in Edmonton or something. He's like, I just spent $30 on 2 boxes of cereal and 4 gallons of milk. Like, where's our society kind of going? And I'm looking at the cereal. He's getting like the ultra sugary, high end, colorful cereal. I'm going, well, maybe that's part of the reason why, right? Like.
Sorry, wait. You're gonna have to repeat that for everybody, because I think you're making a good point about where the ultra colorful, high sugar cereal.
I don't want to name I don't want to name brands or anything, but you know what I'm talking about. With
there's a difference between Rice Puff and like Lucky Charms. I don't think I'm putting Lucky Charms in the premium category or whatever.
But they are, because they're like, I don't know if you've gone to lately, but go grab a family pack of Lucky Charms, like $15.99.
Oh wow!
But if you go to the bulk barn, not just any, the bulk barn, like the Facebook,
wow,
you can grab the cereal in there, and you can get it for a lot less per gram, right?
Yeah, or if you put your own marshmallows in.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like, if you think about it, you could be frugal about it. And I was having this argument with someone recently too. It's the sense of in our society, frugality has died. And on that note, I'll leave you with final thoughts.
Well, I don't know. I don't think the sense of frugality is there. I think people are just more interested in spending their money where they feel that there's a little bit more uniqueness. And I think that is the biggest challenge.
That's a good point.
That people are having these days, is that people find the unique thing or whatever, they bring that unique thing, but it's like, that's hard to replicate. And then the second it goes mainstream, to your point, it can become a little bit less cool very quickly. You know what I mean? So like for example, my buddy was over the other day and he's like, oh, I had to take my kid shopping because like she said all of her clothes were not
cool.
She couldn't wear them anymore. Yeah, and it was essentially because they weren't cool. And I was like, did you buy them? And it was like, you know what I mean? But
did
like,
you pick it?
No, but I was like, really? No, but I meant like just in the sense of like how quickly these things are changing, and like I really do think that it's making it extremely hard for the entire chain, right? Because if you can't kind of really plan the sale, it makes it really hard to understand how much inventory to buy. And if you're not sure how much inventory to buy, you don't know the best places to put it. And if you don't know how much you're buying in the best places to put it, it makes it very hard to work and distribute the product and keep it in the right warehouses or use the right transporters. It's really challenging.
Or even take a step further back than that, where it's manufactured, because that could be just as daunting for someone right now if they pick it up. Like, oh, this is made in X country, I don't want to buy it. You know, I don't want to buy it.
Yeah,
right. Sure. So that aspect of it, you have to be conscious of where you purchase things now, like all the ingredients. Where is it from? People are, I think, becoming a little bit more conscious on that. But on that note, John, it is time.
It is time. I don't have any final thoughts other than saying, what are your thoughts? If you've been watching, maybe put it in the comments. Either drop someone that's doing something innovative or drop some of your thoughts around some of these trends and what you're seeing, because, you know, we share our opinions all the time. Always curious to see what you guys are saying and what you're seeing and what you're thinking. Because I've seen more and more stuff that quietly is bubbling about the fact that 2026 probably not going to be that rebound year that people think about.
I don't think so.
Yeah. So we'll see. Anyways, that's my final thought. Not so inspiring, other than I'm being curious about what you have to say.
And this week, I'll make sure I hit the end of recording button, not the leave the studio button.
That was so bad. Like, again, like you should see, we have so many of these podcasts. It's like it's years now.
They're gold.
Like, and we're still like messing up. But that's how you know it's like keeping it real. I think it's pretty safe to say that no one's going to assume that we're AI generated. You know, so not yet anyway.
It's a very big prompt we have before we start.
Yeah. P.S. Make sure they mess up.
That note. Bye, everybody. Oh, same doc, same channel, same time, same everything.
Wow.
So that in there before.